Stop, look around you. Everything you see, everything you feel, every friction point in your current life, it is the accumulated interest on decisions you made 6 months ago, 6 years ago, or maybe even yesterday. You don't need motivation to change. Motivation is a chemical spike that vanishes at 4 a.m. when the real work starts. You need an architecture of accountability. You need a system that ensures the bill gets paid. Because I promise you this, the bill always arrives. There is no amnesty in the marketplace of performance. Think of it this way. In the old territory, there was a man named Caleb Sterling. Caleb saw a quick fix. He borrowed heavily in Bitter Creek, promised a fast return, and then when the leverage failed, he simply rode hard for the border, trying to start fresh in a sleepy place called Atonement Springs. Caleb thought distance equals forgiveness. He was wrong. Every single man who runs eventually meets the collector. For Caleb, that collector was Malachi Cross. Malachi didn't care about excuses. He cared about the ledger. That ledger is your life. The debt is every task you procrastinated on, every health warning you ignored, every critical conversation you deferred. You are not just pushing problems into the future. You are actively placing a high-interest lien on your future self. We call this future self taxation. You feel stuck today because you are paying the taxes levied by the weaker version of yourself yesterday. We are not going to talk about feelings. We are talking about system repair. You need to close the escape routes and build an internal structure that forces payment and rewards proactive management. Here is the first protocol, immediately actionable. Protocol 1. The principle of non-negotiable deposits. Identify the 3 most critical domains where you currently owe debt: health, finance, core project. Commit 30 minutes, non-negotiably, to each domain every single day. These are not optional tasks. They are fixed, non-tradable deposits. If you skip a deposit, you log the penalty immediately. No psychological maneuvering. You log the deficit and you pay double the next day. This is how you force systemic consistency against the natural human tendency toward avoidance. Stop running, start building, deconstructing the debt system. Most people fail to calculate the true cost of their inaction. They only see the immediate comfort of delay. They miss the compounding factor, the interest rate the universe charges for non-compliance. When Caleb Sterling delayed paying his debt, the cost wasn't just the principal. It was the reputation damage, the stress of constant evasion, the loss of sleep, and the inability to establish a stable life in Atonement Springs. That is the cost of latency. Latency is a time delay between a required action and its completion. High latency kills momentum and drastically raises your ultimate cost. Stop confusing comfort with competence. A high competence individual views pain as predictive data. A low competence individual views pain as a sign to stop. We must diagnose exactly where the latency is accumulating. Protocol 2, the Latency Audit. This is a 7-day tracking system. You will monitor the following 3 metrics. 1. Response lag. How long between receiving a critical email task notification and executing the first physical action toward its completion? Target under 1 hour for high priority items. 2. Transition drag. How long does it take to switch from a low-value task, for example? Social media check-in to a high-value task, for example, focused work block. Target under 2 minutes. 3. Completion gap. How often do you start a complex task requiring more than 90 minutes and fail to finish its initial designated block? Target 0 failures. Log this data ruthlessly. If your response lag is 4 hours, your future self is losing 3 hours of leverage daily. That compounds over a year. That's 78 working days lost to administrative friction. You are losing a quarter of your capacity simply because you tolerate latency. The cure for high latency is the execution shockwave. When you identify a task that generates fear or friction, you must execute the smallest possible step immediately within 60 seconds. Do not plan the whole thing. Just launch, send the email, open the spreadsheet, put on your running shoes. This micro-commitment bypasses the procrastination circuit in your brain and initiates momentum. The comfort of 5 extra minutes in bed translates into 50 minutes of diffuse, low-quality work later that morning. The decision to skip the gym translates into 2 extra weeks of low energy and mental fog 6 months from now. Identify the small compromises you allow today, calculate the compounding interest, then eliminate the source. Malachi Cross didn't knock once and leave. He stayed on the trail until the debt was settled. You must become your own relentless collector. Building the accountability architecture, running from the bill is easy because you have built escape routes into your system. You have allowed for ambiguity. You have prioritized flexibility over fidelity that ends now. Accountability is not a feeling. It is an architecture built on defined systems and constraints. When Caleb reached Atonement Springs, he tried to blend in. He tried to hide the markers of his past, but markers always surface. Your past choices are the indelible brands on your current capacity. We need constraints that eliminate the possibility of default. Protocol 3, the velocity, constraint, and time box locking. This protocol forces you to handle problems at maximum speed, preventing them from 1. Mandatory time boxing. Do not work on tasks. Work in time boxers. If a critical task is estimated at 4 hours, schedule 2 non-negotiable 90-minute deep work boxers. Lock them in your calendar. During those 90 minutes, the task is the only thing that exists. Failure to respect the time box is immediate termination of the work period and mandatory rescheduling within 24 hours latency. Audit penalty applies. 2. The 2-minute rule expansion. If a task takes less than 5 minutes to define or execute, do it immediately. This is not an optional suggestion. It is a system mandate. Clear the small clutter instantly to preserve cognitive space for high-leverage tasks. 3. Habit stacking for deficit repair. Use existing strong habits to pay down neglected debts. If you already drink your coffee every morning, immediately following that action, you must perform a 5-minute deficit repair, for example. Review overdue emails, clean your workspace, reconcile your budget. Structure after an existing habit. I must deficit repair action. This architecture ensures that inaction becomes harder than action. If you allow a small debt or tiny task to linger, it acts like a mental tax, constantly diverting energy. Pay the small debts instantly. High performers do not have more time. They have less friction. They use systems like time box locking to dictate the terms of engagement. They do not wait for inspiration. They simply show up, and the structure forces the output. If you find yourself repeatedly avoiding a specific task or conversation, a financial review, a health check, that task is the debt with the highest latent interest rate. It must be paid first. You cannot build a stable future on a foundation of known, avoided obligations. The system is the execution framework. Use it. The system of preemptive payment. The most effective system against future self-taxation is paying the bill before it is due. This requires proactive paying, strategic sacrifice, and absolute honesty regarding your commitments. Malachi Cross did not wait for Caleb Sterling to suddenly find religion and pay up. Malachi demanded collateral and immediate action. Your collateral is your current effort. Your immediate action is preemptive sacrifice. Protocol 4, the 48-hour forgiveness window. Failure is inevitable. Running from failure is optional. Most people turn a single mistake, missing a workout, overspending into a multi-day slide, converting a small loss into a major setback. This is the spiral of self-judgment combined with system abandonment. The forgiveness window is a hard stop on that spiral. 1. Define the maximum drift. You are permitted a maximum of 48 hours to deviate from a core commitment. If you miss a key deadline or violate a financial rule, the countdown starts immediately. 2. Mandatory recovery action. Within the 48-hour window, you must execute a recovery action that is 150% the size of the original failure. Example: if you skipped a 45-minute workout, your recovery action must be a mandatory 67.5-minute workout, scheduled within the next 48 hours. Example: if you overspent $200, your recovery action must be to immediately transfer $300 into a high-yield savings account or investment fund. 3. The log and release. Log the failure, do not minimize it, and log the recovery action. Once the action is complete, the debt is settled, and the psychological burden is released. Do not dwell on the mistake. Shift focus back to the systemic goal. This prevents the psychological drag of guilt. Guilt is useless fuel. Systemic repair is high-octane fuel. Preemptive payment also means allocating resources now for predictable future costs. Do you know you burn out every 3 months? Schedule a mandatory, non-negotiable 3-day deep rest period now. Do you know tax season is stressful? Start filing 15 minutes of receipts every Friday. Starting today, stop running a deficit model. Start running a surplus model. Pay the physical cost today, the hard work out, the discipline saving, the difficult conversation so that tomorrow your future self inherits an asset, not a liability. The time to buy that asset is when the market, your current comfort level is low. Pay the price now when it's small, before latency and interest inflate it. Integrating the future self ledger. The fundamental difference between high performers and everyone else's time perspective. The weak mind sees today's pain. The architect sees tomorrow's leverage. You must build a concrete connection between today's micro actions and the macro goals of your future self. This is not dreaming. This is engineering. When Malachi Cross finally caught up to Caleb Sterling near Beta Cree, the reckoning was harsh because Caleb had spent years actively working against his own long-term survival. Protocol 5, the legacy loop. This system installs a feedback mechanism that links short-term discipline to long-term identity. 1. Define the future standard. Write down 3 non-negotiable standards you must maintain to qualify as the legacy self, the person you need to be 10 years from now. Example standards: the legacy self never checks email before 10 a.m. The legacy self has a net worth of X. The legacy self runs a sub-Y marathon time. 2. The daily cross-reference. Every evening, before shutdown, review your task list against the legacy standards. Ask, did my actions today support or violate the legacy standard? 3. Feedback loop. If today's actions supported the standard, log it as a compound deposit value asset. If it violated the standard, for example, checking email early, log it as a future tax assessment immediate liability. This system transforms abstract goals into daily operational metrics. You are no longer performing random acts of discipline. You are building the foundation of your future identity, brick by hard-won brick. Crucially, focus on the minimum viable action required to maintain the standard. If your goal is deep concentration, the minimum viable action might be, I will use the first 60 minutes of the workday without opening a web browser. Execute that, and you have compounded your integrity. Integrity is not a moral trait. It is a system status. When your actions align with your standards, your system integrity is high. When they diverge, the system begins to fail, and the interest starts accruing rapidly. Stop outsourcing your accountability to external forces: a manager, a spouse, a deadline. These are weak triggers. Build the trigger internally through the legacy loop. Your future self is watching, and they are either cheering for your deposits or dreading your liabilities. Make them an ally, not a victim. The final system. You cannot negotiate with reality. You cannot talk your way out of the accumulated consequences of poor decisions. The bill always arrives. The debt is real: low capacity, compromised health, limited opportunity. But unlike Caleb Sterling, who kept running until he hit a wall, you have the architecture now to turn and face the collector, who is ultimately you. Stop waiting for a fresh start. You get one life, one ledger. The system starts today. We implemented 5 protocols. 1. Non-negotiable deposits forcing initial consistency. 2. The latency audit diagnosing the cost of delay. 3. The velocity constraint mandating quick execution. 4. The 48-hour forgiveness window, systemic repair, not guilt. 5. The legacy loop connecting daily action to future identity. Your final assignment, your single most important system SMI, is the daily ledger close. Every night, take exactly 5 minutes. Log the 3 highest leverage actions you executed today. Log the single biggest debt you allowed to accrue. Then schedule the mandatory repair action for tomorrow. This process terminates the day clean. It prevents the debt from rolling over unchecked. You go to sleep knowing your system is operational, resilient, and prepared for the next wave of execution. Motivation fades. Systems endure. Stop paying the high interest rate on procrastination. Start building the wealth of your future self. Implement the systems now.